a few more attendees to join in, and we'll start the session in the next couple of minutes. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today's virtual conference. My name is Karthik, and I'm your host for today. Dun& Bradstreet India, in association with Google Cloud and Pluto 7, is glad to present this virtual conference on the pertinent topic Accelerating the Business Transformation Journey with Google Cloud Analytics in 90 Days. Although cloud is widely recognized as a technology game changer, its potential for driving business innovation remains virtually untapped. To take advantage of cloud's potential to transform internal operations, customer relationship, and industry value chains, organizations need to determine how best to employ cloud-enabled business models that promote sustainable competitive advantage. Before we begin exploring today's theme, I request everyone to please take a moment and go through the guidelines that have been displayed on your screen right now. We encourage you to ask more questions in the session. We request you to please type in your queries in the question section. These will be taken up in the Q&A session after the panel discussion. You can use the chat section for sharing your views too. A couple of tips here. We want to know you more. Hence, please mention your name and company name when you post your question. You can also mention the person you're directing the question to. This session is not only about the discussion. You have a chance to win exciting Zozo Day e-vouchers by participating in an engaging quiz that we have lined up for you all. You need to earn a minimum of 50 cloud miles to be eligible for vouchers, and top 10 scorers will get Zozo Day e-vouchers after the session. You can earn cloud miles via the following activities. Quiz. We will be running the quiz on Mentimeter. It is recommended that you use two separate devices, your laptop and your mobile, to join the webinar and participate in the quiz for a better experience. Asking relevant questions during the webinar will earn you 15 cloud miles per relevant question, and sharing your views and comments on the topic being discussed will fetch you another 15 cloud miles for every relevant comment. Now, let's take a quick look at the flow of today's session. Please refer to the agenda displayed on your screen right now. A promising agenda with an eminent lineup of speakers. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and thank everyone for being a part of this virtual session today. With this, let's kickstart with the opening speaker of the day. I would now like to invite Mr. Rajesh Ramdas, Head of Customer Engineering Corporate Accounts, Google, to share his views and set the context for today's discussion. Welcome, Mr. Ramdas.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Really thank everyone for joining this call. What I wanted to do is to share Google Cloud's thought process in terms of what we are doing from a manufacturing sector perspective. So to get started, you might really not immediately associate Google
Sir,
Cloud.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Could I request you to please come on video?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Let me get started again. So you might not immediately associate Google Cloud with the manufacturing industry, but we are proud to support a broad range of manufacturing companies on their digital transformation journeys. In the last 12 months itself, we have increased our headcount in the manufacturing team by 4x, and we are positioned to solve real business challenges at scale with our industry-specific solutions. Okay. Now, so why are these manufacturing choosing Google Cloud? It's because of our substantial investment and support to these industries. These companies range from small, highly specialized players to global conglomerates. Okay. At Google, we have built a team of experts that deeply understand the nuances of manufacturing companies. We are building industry-specific solutions, leveraging Google's unique AI and infrastructure capabilities. In addition to these efforts, we partner with leading technology providers like Pluto 7 in manufacturing, industrial, and transportation sector. Now, let me address the elephant in the room, which is privacy. Your data is critical to your business, and you take great care in terms of controlling it and keeping it safe. At Google Cloud, the concept is very similar. When any data comes to Google Cloud, it is encrypted by default, both in transit and at rest. Okay. Second important aspect is that we do not give access to your data to even Google employees. So they don't have access to any of your data. Number three, we actually have protection practices which are audited against industry standard. So those are the three things I wanted to set in place before I get into why you should look at Google Cloud, for three important reasons. Number one, from a cost-benefit analysis. We do it in three ways. One is you pay for what you use. Second, based on your usage, the higher you use, the more discounts you get. So that's the second way of reducing cost. And third is using our AI ML capabilities to tell you to resize or right size your applications to ensure that you pay what is really required to the cloud provider. The second important aspect is around innovation. What we have done is we have got our AI ML capabilities and expertise, and we have created a seamless integration to a broader Google ecosystem, which might be Maps, Android, and others. So that way you could really leverage the Google ecosystem. And the third important concept in Google Cloud is around no vendor lock-in. We believe in choice and openness, and that's what we wanted to present. But the biggest question everybody is asking is, how can you help my organization? When we engage with our customers, we engage them in three areas. Number one, in business continuity. What does that mean? Whether it is operations continuity, planning, collaboration, these are the key areas that we are seeing from a need perspective. The second important aspect is around optimization of operations, connecting people, systems, data and breaking data silos to drive real business outcomes. And the third important aspect is around data-driven digital transformation, which is AI-driven, which is highly available, scalable, and help you quickly set up. Those are the three things that I wanted to set in place. Let me get into a little bit of each of them and give you the use cases or areas that we are seeing manufacturers work with us. Firstly, in the area of business continuity, manufacturers are looking to us in terms of helping them work in a remote working environment where your entire workforce might not be able to come to your offices or factories or other places. Is there a way that you can really collaborate and work remotely without affecting your business? Second is adhering to health and other related requirements from a factory environment. And third is to see whether you can look at touchless operations in the machines that you have. Will that be possible for everyone? The answer might not be yes, because your machines might not be ready for such things. But let me do one thing. Let me take one example of one example here and show you what it means for you. Okay? When we actually talk about bringing you the ability to collaboratively work together, we have what we call Google Workspace. What Google Workspace brings is the ability to do secure video conferencing and modern collaboration suite, whether it is Sheet, Slide, Doc, etc. And what we have seen is it has increased productivity, it helps you work smarter and harness data across employees. Let me give you my own example. I came to Google from an organization which was using a competitor's product. And here I come in and we are creating a presentation deck that I had to present. And I had another 4 people working to me parallelly along on this same deck. I was very surprised because earlier it was all sequential. Now it is all parallel. That dramatically improves the speed and scale of your work and how you actually deliver that to internal and external stakeholders. And this has been taken advantage by companies like Colgate, Whirlpool, and others. That's what the ability to do it. And with a lot of AI ML driven into that, what we have done is you could actually use that from a virtual stand-up meeting. You could actually look at collaboration for worker safety. People don't have to be next to each other. And with this Corona times, this has become a very key requirement for many of the organizations. Okay. Let me move to the second part of it, which is around operations optimization. Now, Google Cloud is helping manufacturers achieve the next level of operational optimization through our AI that can bring in visibility and performance on time to the market, quality and sustainability. Those are some of the things. Now, some of the areas that we are seeing a lot of interest is around improving product quality. Can you actually improve product quality? Second is around optimized logistics. The third important aspect that we are seeing is around reducing downtime, which is around predictive maintenance and stuff like that. So these are the 3 areas that I am seeing a lot of interest within our customer community, apart from the others that's been listed on this slide. Let me take up one use case and talk about it. Let me take up the use case around visual inspection. Now, what visual inspection has done is it has ensured that you are able to detect anomalies or detect issues with the product at an accuracy level of 99.99%. So it's highly accurate. And compared to any solution in the market, that can really help you reduce your overall cost because your number of rejects at the end of the line is less. Second is you actually increase customer satisfaction because your quality of goods are right. So how do we do this? We actually do it in a very, very simplistic way. We have a software solution, okay, which can collect data from a lot of your machines, number one. Second, you can use the standard photographic machines that you have to look at every product, and we can integrate that application, consume the data, add filters, labels, and then create a machine learning on the spot to help you identify damages even at the inspection time, even if it gets before it comes to the end of the line. Now, what this has done is it has actually reduced the work of the people who are doing QA. Okay. Second, this when we started to do this, the big question everybody had is, hey, you don't have our data. How do you get your machine learning to learn from it? That we do it in two ways. One is we bring our machine learning pre-built algorithms, which is based on running such kind of processes across billions of products, okay, and add your data to it, thereby enhancing your ability to detect defects and mitigate that before you come to it. So again, it's about quality of the product, customer satisfaction. That's the business drivers that customers are benefiting from it. And you see a huge number of customers, whether it's LG, whether it's Samsung, Hitachi, everybody has taken advantage of this. Now, coming into digital transformation part of it. When we look at digital transformation, we look at digital transformation in three ways. One is, can it increase my revenue? Second, will it help me reduce the cost? And the third one is, will it help me find out new ways of getting revenue or new ways of doing business that were thereby dramatically changing the market or being ready for any of the new players that might be coming into the market with ideas. Okay? Now, let me take an example of smart factories. In the smart factories, what happens? You have a lot of machines and a lot of sensor data is generated. The problem with the sensor data is that that data cannot be consumed directly by other machines because they are not in the format or not in the in a way that can be easily consumed by so many vendors. What we have done along with our partners is created a solution which is a software-defined solution which can ingest the data from the machine as it is, do data wrangling and cleansing, basically the ability to create data labels, figuring out other things around it, cleaning up, okay, and consuming that in the cloud, creating a machine learning algorithm and putting it back in the factory so that when you have issues at the factory level or machine level, you have low latency or immediate response rather than waiting for something to come back from the cloud. So if an organization does not have a continuous connect to the cloud, that's okay. You still have the ability to take the algorithm that's been generated and push it back so that you are able to figure out around downtime, figure out around production monitoring and analytics. And this way, you will be able to do a lot of predictive maintenance, reducing your cost and efforts around that. That's what we do. And then if I take the other side of it, which is around the operational part of it, you might have ERP in your application, whether it's SAP or something else. What we do is the ability to directly connect to your application, whether it is SAP or other ERPs, get those information and give you visibility in terms of supply chain, demand forecasting, okay, logistics, okay, or around compliance management, along with data that are coming from other applications, which might not be in your core ERP. Combine that, give you a view, thereby getting an enterprise view of what's happening. And so you can actually create capabilities to drive process efficiencies or uncover new revenue streams. Those are some of the things that we are working with our customer. Now, just to conclude or summarize what I have talked about, three things we do. One is we help with business continuity. Second, help you operationalize or optimize your operations. And third, accelerate your digital transformation using data. Now, what is holding everyone back? And we feel three things. Number one is, can I do it without disrupting my business? That's a question most people ask me. Second is, there's so many areas to do. Where do I start? And the third thing is, how do I show results quickly? And that's exactly where Pluto 7 comes into play. To provide more details, I would actually request Tarun from Pluto 7 to speak. Tarun, take it away. Thank you.
Hey Rajesh, thank you. Thank you very much for explaining how Google Cloud works with the customers and how they enable our customers with the tools and technologies in a real-time world. Let me quickly present my screen. I hope you're able to see my screen here. Yes, you're able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, thank you. My name is Tarun Kumar. I'm working as a principal architect in cloud and data analytics and leading machine learning and DevOps at Pluto 7. From past many years, we are helping our customers on a cloud journey, and we implementing many solutions across the countries like India, US, Canada, and other countries. So in the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to talk about how we are helping our customer to transform the business in 90 days using a Google Cloud Analytics. So as a Pluto 7, our focus is on smart analytics. How, in a simplistic way, we can provide the smart analytics and help our customers. We are a data-driven approach. So customer comes to us for innovation, where they see our experience as bringing up the innovation, working with hundreds of customers on AI and ML. We are the premier partner of the year in data analytics with Google Cloud and have a multiple specialization on a Google Cloud platform. Basically, like when we work with our customer, we see 14 or 15 problems where these problems goes hand to hand with the supply chain. If you are a manufacturer or using a supply chain in any other form, you would have seen these use cases. And we don't say that companies don't have technology, so they are lacking of technology. They may have that AI data warehouse solution already in the company, or maybe that would be evolving. But the fundamental shift come from a traditional approach to that how these can combine AI with the smart analytics or combine with the centralized data or serverless architecture, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But when we work with our customer, we come across with the two main challenges. One is combining data from the different environments, from different departments or functions like marketing, sales, supply chain. And it's not only about combining data, but the people and process and the problem statement itself. Second is like how we can self-efficient, how we can make companies self-efficient in a real time as much as we can. So with these two challenges, we have used the smart analytics and help our multiple customers. These are the small list of our customers where we are working in a different areas like retail, healthcare, manufacturing, and others. So what is a smart analytics? So smart analytics is nothing but an approach how we help our customer to solve the problem statement. So our approach as a Pluto 7, we work with the customer, understand their business problem, bring their data together at one place, centralize their data, and implement the AI and ML models. And then finally, we collaborate in a Google Workspace. As Rajesh has spoken about a smart analytics platform on Google, this is a platform which Google use internally. And finally this has been available for enterprise to use it. We have used same platform for our customers and help many customers on the smart analytics journey. If I take an example, the Tokori is one of the I'll say largest diamond ring merchant in US. And when Corona hit the market, there was no marriages or engagements, and the market was down, the sales was down, and it was expected that it's gonna go for a long, more maybe for a year or long. But in a 6 months time, we saw the reversal in the trend. And before people could have seen a reversal in the trend, our data analytics and smart analytics helped to show this reversal in the trend to the business. It was hard to believe that in a time frame of April, May, that there would be a turnaround to the business, not even for the recovery, but the like extraordinary growth. But when it came like to October, November timeframe, it has been seen that demand has been start increasing, and that proves how the data model work in a real time. Kohl's is, I'll say, one of the 10 top retailer in the US market, and we help Kohl's to create the demand forecasting accuracy model with the balancing disrupted demands. Here we have work in a we have collected data from multiple segments like customers, products, and postal codes. We have dynamically adjusted demand forecast based on the customer sentimental inputs. Plus, we have also taken care of multiple internal and external data like seasonality, unemployment, and others. And based on that, we were able to improve the forecast accuracy about 20%, which was unheard in that area. If I talk about California Design Den, that it's a number one channel retailer on US, Amazon US and Amazon India, and the California Design Den is on Google Cloud, and using smart analytics and planning in box solution, we were able to reduce the inventory carrying cost around 50% for Design Den. Evian Bev is an interesting use case where we were involved for the preventive maintenance for the inventory and management. So the problem statement with the Evian Bev was that they have a filtration process which was manually handled when the beer goes from different big barrels to the containers to the bottle. And when we have this manual process, that either filters would be changed before the time, or it would be changed after it detected that beer has been spoiled, the taste and colors has been spoiled. So in both the conditions, that it's a wastage, either the wastage of filter or the wastage of the beer. When we use the preventive maintenance ML model for the customer, we were able to reduce the cost, and we were like 92% accuracy we have given in a very short time, and we could save around $10 million for the customer. And as you know, that Evian Bev is a world's largest brewery, and Budweiser and also a famous brand, and they have around 126 plants across the world. You can do the math, like when you are taking this model across the plants, what would be the saving? So this kind of innovation, I'll say, the force to the organization to think what is the real meaning of data-driven company, which we're trying to present here. So another example I'll take, Levi Strauss. We working with the Strauss on many problem statements, on many solutions. One of the problem statement was how to fit 32 by 30 jeans in a specific carton. Looks very similar, simple problem, but when you look at the 168-year-old company have 10,000s of partners, many carriers carrying those boxes over the air and ships, any incorrect packing or not filling box properly will be adding additional cost towards the labor, adding inefficiency in their process. So we use the ML model here, and we achieved the 95% accuracy in the packing, and that saved a lot of money for the Levi's. So that is one of the use case for using the machine learning. And here, like in last summer, when in California, the wildfire broke, there was a challenge to maintain all 300,000 power lines. And we are the company who designed the smart analytics architecture using the Google Cloud Smart Analytics platform, where that hundreds of drones are flying over the power lines and capturing the real-time data and writing into the Google Cloud. And analyzing this data, we are able to highlight it to the patrol agents that where could be the next fire spot or something. So this is the example, the real-time example of putting technology to the saving of life. And last but not least, like we are working with the multiple multinational companies in India to take them on an automation journey for the Industry 4.0. So all these use cases I've explained, these all are like how we can put up these technologies in the use. I'm pretty sure that many of you in your leadership role would be thinking, different ways how you can use these technologies and improve the productivity, and how you can use to digitalize your organization. If I talk about an analogy, 30 years ago, when we talk about internet, that internet could help industries in their business, there was a logical acceptance, but nobody would have think at that time that internet will become an essential part of the company. Today, I don't think so anybody can run a business efficiently without the internet. So that's a change. And the same change we are looking at the ML and AI models today. So today they are working in a bunch, like small pieces together, but they are helping in the individual areas of the business. But tomorrow would be the with the future, like where the AI and ML would be part of the business. Nobody would be able to think about business without using these technologies. And these technologies are nothing but getting used in today's world as well. So if you talk about the individuals, like talking about automating the factory, like connected factory, preventive maintenance, MBOTs. And if you talk about the chatbots, right? So chatbots are something 5 years ago, this was like, I'll say, extraordinary feature for any website to have a chatbot. But if you see today, any new websites, it's an essential requirement to have a chatbot on a website. You open any new website, small or big, immediately something pop up like how I can help as a chatbot, right? So this is how the trend is changing. That the technology which was like a dream yesterday, that was becoming a necessity of today. And this is how we call it the transformation of the business. Okay, so as we're talking about the transformation, in a very layman term, what is a transformation? Transformation is nothing but improvement to the KPIs, right? An improvement to the KPIs on the level where that human accepted barriers or human current barriers has been broken, right? So as an example, if I take one company may accept 80% demand forecast accuracy, as demand planner can hit only that much. But if you talk about using third-party data like social media data, or if you're talking about 10 years of history versus 2 years of history data to be analyzed, which is not possible by the human way. So that will change, the data will change the accuracy parameters. And changing this mindset, what customer or a person believe today, with the technology, with the using of AI and ML, is a transformation. So once you do the transformation in one part of the company, it cascades to the other parts, and slowly the whole company comes to the transformation. Okay, there are some quick demos I have arranged to present here. And if I talk about these demos, let's say you want to have the whole company data, entire company data at one place to analyze, either it's a marketing data, sales data, or inventory data. Those could be you're looking like these as a dashboard, but these are the end result anyway for the companies, right? So when analyzing this data, you would be seeing not only the data, you would want to see how your current campaign is doing, how it is like performing. Is it a positive, negative result? If it is a negative, what is the how the customer behaving to those results, and what is your revenue forecast? So how it will change based on the positive and negative inputs. You may have a risk to lose the customer, whether we're talking about the churn analysis, that how it's a medium risk, low risk, or high risk, right? So all these are the automated these demos we have built for our customers. If I take an example of AB InBev, as we have talked about this case study, like a fine day morning, on a Monday morning, you came to know that your machine is down, and you have the laborers who are already in the firm. You cannot use it. You may have to shut your plant down to do the maintenance. But what if you come to know about this as a preventive, that 2 or 3 weeks in ahead, that okay, this machine is on a path of going down, and by so and so time you predict that it may go down. So you can plan accordingly. Your labors, your downtime, you can be planned, and you can save a lot of money on that. Similar way, there's another example where we are talking about the video intelligence used in a packaging. So we know that down the line that a lot of people will work on packaging and handling the packages. So video intelligence can help you to capture the actual moments where the wastage has been added to the cost. So those are the areas we're talking about. So here, with all these examples, right, we are using the smart analytics and helping our customers. And here we came up the approach where we're saying that we can help our customer to jumpstart within 90 days. Now, there would be a question like how and what we would be doing in the 90 days, right? So we have an approach where we would be going with the multiple phases with the customer, and month by month we are bringing the solution in the live. So if you talk about like first month, we would be connecting with the executives, understanding their current short vision and the long-term vision. Then we would be having a discovery workshop where we are identifying the use case. What is the use case customer wants to solve, and then bringing up the solution and design. And finally, we would be creating the KPIs and a reference architecture. Once we have a reference architecture, we would be working on ingesting data from the different sources regarding that use case and centralizing the data at one place on a Google Cloud, enabling the ML models, and finally using or building the ML model solutions. Some of the solutions we already have on our website. If I show that quickly, that if you go on a Google Cloud platform and select for the Pluto 7, you will see multiple solutions available on the platform, on a marketplace. And these solutions are just a plug and play. Like anybody can take these solution and use. The main point using any of these solutions is that every company have their own data sets and a different format. So when you're using these demand models, or any ML model, you have to configure this along with your data sets. And there we come into the picture where we help our customer to solve the configuring problem. So we help this with the planning in the box solution. We help our customer to pick the data from a different sources and load into the system, and then apply this ML model solutions. And this is not about loading a data, but like if you look at the data in today's world, the data is keep getting increased day by day, and we maybe keep creating dashboards on our different requirements, but the fundamental change we need to think about is how to make these decisions automated. Like the decision process needs to be automated, so we don't have to think about it again and again, how to analyze, how to understand this data. And there, this data models, the ML models can help, where they can give the more visibility to the customer. They can help into the perfect planning, and finally they can help into the automate the decisions. So these are the a couple of solutions which we use with our customer and help them to transform their business in a quick time frame. And with this, I'll take a pause and I'll say, like, we have this 2 hours complimentary workshop with the customer. In case of anybody interested, they can reach out to us. This is our website, www.pluto7.com, and can reach out to the contacts here. And with this, I'll say that's it from my side. I'll hand over to the Nana further.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kumar. That, ladies and gentlemen, was Mr. Tarun Kumar, Principal Cloud Architect, leading ML, DevOps, and data migration at Pluto 7. Thank you once again, Mr. Kumar. A very informative and relevant for today's businesses, which I'm sure all of us can benefit from. Thank you. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, we would now be moving on to the quiz. A few instructions to guide you. We would be running the quiz on menti.com, and the link with the login code has been shared in the chat window on your screens. I would request everyone to quickly log in to www.menti.com and use the code 216-820-47 that is displayed in your chat section and on your screen too. Or else you can directly log in using the link mentioned in your chat box too. Kindly stay on your browser once you sign in, and please log in with the same email ID with which you have registered for today's session. Once again, I request all our participants to please take part in this engaging quiz that we have lined up for you all. You can log on to www.menti.com and use the code 21682047. Once again, I request all our participants to take part in this engaging quiz, as you'll stand a chance to win exciting Zozo Day e-vouchers. I can see we have participants constantly joining in. Let's just wait for another couple of minutes before we launch the quiz. Once again, I request you to kindly stay on your browser once you sign in, and please log in with the same email IDs with which you have registered for today's session. As you can see on the chat section, the code to login is also displayed, 21682047. So with this, let's begin the quiz. What tasks can AI perform? 4 options on your screen. All of the above is the right answer, and most of y'all have got it right. Great. Moving on to the next question. Cloud computing shifts capital expenditure to dash expenditure. 4 options visible on your screen right now. And once again, most of y'all have answered correctly. Great going. Moving on to the third question of the quiz. A web-based email service such as Outlook, Hotmail, or Yahoo, mails are an example of which services? 4 options visible on your screen right now. Software as a service is the right answer. Moving on to the fourth question. What is the system of data warehousing mostly used for? The right answer is B, reporting and data analysis. We have 2 more questions to go, so you all can surely make up in the next 2 questions. Live migration to a cloud involves 4 options on your screen right now. Moving on to the final question of the session. Dash is a vital technique to create cloud computing centers. And most of y'all have got it right. Congratulations, Tom. So the results for this quiz are being tabulated and the winners will hear from us soon. Thank you once again to all the participants who took part in the quiz. With this, now let's move on to the most awaited knowledge sharing and interactive session, the panel discussion. This discussion is around the topic accelerating the business transformation journey with Google Cloud Analytics in 90 days. And we have some very interesting names here. This session will be moderated by Ms. Naina Acharya, Associate Director, Data Operations, Learning and Economic Insights Group, Dun & Bradstreet, India. Thank you, Ms. Acharya, for joining us. Our first panelist is Mr. Sumit Goswami, Head of Supply Chain Management, AVN Corporation. Thank you, Mr. Goswami, for joining us. Following him is Mr. Hariharan N., Technical Director, General Manager, R&D and Applied Research, Bharat Foods Warner Limited. Thank you, Mr. Hariharan, for taking out the time and joining us today. Next on the panel is Mr. Satyam Trivedi, Director, IoT Engineering, TESOLVE. Thank you, Mr. Trivedi, for joining us. With this, let us begin the panel discussion. Over to you, Ms. Acharya.
Thank you so much, Sanket, for a fantastic, introduction and being very kind with the words. Thank you so much. Welcome everyone, and thanks again for taking time out from your schedule to be a part of this virtual meet, where we are going to dwell on a lot of interesting topics, interesting discussions. Needless to say, Rajesh and Tarun shared some very good insights on cloud and the importance of the same for the business. But at the same time, at the ground level, how does it actually help the business? So it was very interesting, Rajesh and Tarun. Thank you so much. Just to set the context, I would like to share that we live in a data-inspired world, and in a data-inspired world, it's extremely important for us to make sure that we get the right kind of information at the right time in a format which is easier for us to understand, and it has to be done on a regular basis, in the absence of which it's very difficult for us or our leaders to take insightful decisions. So key aspects in a business that are important to facilitate this are ensuring that there is enhanced collaboration, there's data security, our costs are kept under control, we're able to have remote operations. 2020 taught us a very big lesson, and today, after 12 months, we are somewhere quite confident of managing our operations remotely. Needless to say, we need to have access to the best technologies. We need to get free and timely updates, easy data recovery, scalable solutions given, control over our files, and also make sure that other people who are not directly involved don't really have that access. And last but not the least, reduce carbon footprint. So if you see, there are a couple of aspects which are extremely critical to make sure that you enhance your business productivity. And today, we are going to have a panel discussion around the topic, accelerating the business transformation journey. And since here we have been introduced to Google Cloud Analytics, we are trying to understand how Google Analytics can actually help us achieve this. But at the same time, we do have our esteemed panelists, Mr. Sumit Goswami, Mr. Hariharan, and Mr. Satyam, who have been grappling with this since a long time, and it will be great to know their point of view. So welcome, Sumit, welcome, Mr. Satyam, and welcome, Mr. Hariharan. So with due respect, I would like to kind of just kickstart with the first question that I would want to basically ask to, Mr. Sumit, that, why do you think that it's important to have a Google kind of a service, in our strategy?
Yeah, so thank you for inviting me to this session. Naina, and I come from a chemical process industry background of almost 25 years of work. And safety is in this industry the number one criteria. So all of you know of Bhopal and how it wiped out a city. So in chemical industry, safety is very, very important, and the companies are ready to do anything to ensure safety. And this is where in real time, multiple data crunched to give real time alert to the senior management is something that was almost impossible to handle before the advent of IoT and cloud. All inspections were visual, and all reports were visual. But right now, what we see is a lot of sensors, and these devices have become cost effective, and they can constantly read data on various safety aspects in a chemical process plant, things like temperature, pressure, etc. apart from the visuals, now we have cameras in all our factories and certain areas where certain people are not supposed to be there. In fact, there are certain areas where no human being is supposed to be there. There are detectors today. It immediately sends alarm out within split second. So the analyzing real-time data, coming to a conclusion that there is something dangerous happening is somewhere in the factory and sending the alarm to the right person, I think it is just possible today because of the availability of this technology.
Couldn't agree more with you, Sumit. Couldn't agree more with you. Well, then, you've given a kind of a context to the different types of scenarios. Well, my next question is for Mr. Hariharan, saying that, how are, since we're sitting on a plethora of data, how are companies actually using analytics to enhance their competitive or to make them more competitive or use it for their competitive advantage? Mr. Hariharan?
Yeah.
Can we please have you on video, Mr. Hariharan?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hariharan. I'll repeat my question again. So, Mr. Hariharan, can you please share your views on how leading companies are actually using analytics for their competitive advantage?
Yeah, of course. So,
You're not audible, Mr. Hariharan. Can you please be a little loud?
is it okay now?
Yes, and we cannot see you as well, Mr. Hariharan. So, if you can please.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So companies are trying to.
Sorry, Mr. Hariharan. I think you'll have to. We cannot hear you. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. As much as technology can be a boon, it's also a bane. And we live in a world where everything has to be done virtually. So we'll just wait for Mr. Hariharan to join. And in the interim, I would then like to ask, a question to Satyam as well. That, do you have your views on how companies basically, can use analytics to enhance their competitive advantage? Some thoughts of yours.
Yeah, so actually, let me first of all thank you for inviting me for this panel discussion. And second thing, I just want to give you a small background about myself. Right, so I have been in this whole digital transformation journey from past 15 years, working with a lot of different customers, right? And I have seen a real transformation in terms of the technology, which has really ramped up to provide this businesses this kind of transformation journey in a more smooth way. Now, coming to that, like when the things started off, it was mostly of just capturing the data, monitoring the data, and providing a dashboard. And analytics were very primitive, just giving some kind of charts and details, right? And now, over the last few years, the analytics has really become very different with the introduction of AI and ML technologies on both from the cloud side as well on the edge AI side, which is really coming up. Now, what happens is like we are getting a data, and what happens after getting too much of data, the businesses doesn't even understand what to do with this, right? So it becomes very difficult to really come up with some conclusion, and the whole decision support system suffers because they are not able to understand, and it's very difficult. Now, coming with all this analytics platform with AI and ML integration, it really becomes very effective in terms of really quickly knowing what is going on. Let's say a small technology like anomaly detection, right? So let's say a system has, let me give an example. Like I have a CCTV camera installed in my office, and it is keep capturing. And now some event happened, and now if I have to go and find out when that event happened, I have to go to all the recordings, right? And when we have a system with AI analytics and all these things where it actually catches an anomaly or any kind of detection, which filters out all the unnecessary data and gives me the required thing, that is where my real problem is solved. So gathering data is very important. The equipment to gather the data is very important, but the analytics actually really with AI ML gives you the real information which is required for your business. So,
well, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Satyam. I mean, somewhere we realized from what you're trying to say is that, at the end of the day, if all your data can help you get some insights and help you give that competitive edge in comparison to your and help you in to enhance your position in the market, it helps to increase your competitive edge. So that's great. Well, I hope Mr. Hariharan, you're there now, because I have
Yeah.
the next question for you.
Yes.
So the next question for you, sir, is that why are organizations moving their data and analytics workloads to the cloud? Well, because we've set a context that data is imperative to enhance your competitive advantage, and we're sitting on a plethora. Can you emphasize why, how cloud has been quite important, and why organizations are now moving their workloads to the cloud?
Okay. Well, so to be very honest, so we have around 30,000 plus customers we already deal with. In that, maybe around 35% of the people are already decided and we have moved them to cloud. So that is what is the first thing I would like to thank the technology for. We are into this journey since almost 5.5 years. We are very young from that standpoint. So as because we are OEM manufacturers, so we have all our machines connected to the cloud live, and we give them the insights, and we also maintain their workloads sitting from our office at Bangalore. So we have customers deployed globally, and so 30,000 plus customers. So we have standard reportings, getting the analytics also in one point, and getting new use cases and problem statements. And even we are able to tell them that which operator is going to apply a leave, so that you should not allot this operator for this particular job. So to that extent, we can give them manufacturing people in insight, so that they can plan their failures of not only machine, even their people and process also in place. So there is no other way other than looking into cloud. As Mr. Tarun was also telling very nicely that to bring up Cronchi, we have the same type of machine running in 50, 100 places. So all machine data comes in a different pattern in different environment. When we put it across into give a solution to one particular customer, it gives a lot of inference and more data clarity to take a proper decision making. So that's how people are, even Ashok Leyland sort of a companies, even Tata Motors sort of companies, they're all now migrated to cloud. So last week we have completed even that assignment. So thanks for
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, so couldn't agree more with you, Mr. Hariharan, because this has become a imperative now for businesses and not a nice to have service. With that, now we can move to the next question, and keeping in mind that there is absolute complexity in multiple cloud deployment, because we are again sitting on a plethora of data, and at the end of the day, we will need to have multi-cloud deployments. What, according to you, are the effective strategies for managing this complexity? And I would like to address this question to Sumit. Sumit, can you please take a stab at this?
Yeah, sure. So, like most products and services, there isn't just one service provider, there are multiple, many. So, if you have to really stack them up, they are the very expensive ones to the least expensive ones, and the most sophisticated analytical ability to the most rudimentary analytical ability. So, I think as a business manager, we have to take a judgment call and segment our requirement clearly. So I think there's a saying that you cannot fire a cannon to kill a mosquito. So that is why I think as the industry guy, we have to classify our problems into that needs complex analytic ability to simple analytic ability is one axis. And of course, the cost benefit of that. So I cannot hire out a technology which cost me $10,000 and ultimately I'm getting a benefit of $5,000. So I think a mapping of what are the problems you are trying to solve, what will be the cash or financial fix of the benefits you will get. You have to compare with that with the cost it will go to one service provider versus another. And of course, what is it you're trying to kill? If it is a simple problem, why go and hire out a very complex data analytics engine and pay for it? Why? So I think that matrix mapping is very important to manage your complexity of requirements, and then take a call, which is it you want to do I don't know whether I'm allowed to name competition, but Google is one option, and you have IBM, you have many other people who provide cloud analytics services. You have to take a judgment call. Why do you use what, which service?
Absolutely, Sumit, because relevance is something that defines how good your strategy is, and of course, I couldn't agree more with you, Mr. Hariharan. Do you have some views on this as well? Because I'm sure you also have been actively participating in ensuring that the relevance of the service for businesses.
Of course, to be very simple, cloud agnostics, like if you get anchored to a particular cloud platform, then it is going to be much of a constraint, because as Mr. Smith was telling, each people are having their own flavor of competency. So for example, SAP, we have hosted our SAP also on a live. So we don't have any SAP running in our on-prem. So we coming to analytics, we have our own analytic engines, which we developed from our R&D. And also we have some simple analytic engines, which we take from AWS and Google. So if you want to do some sentimental analysis, that is something different. We'll push the data to that particular node, get the response and push it. And we have our own platform to visualize everything. So background, what happens? So this is what is going to be the future, what we feel like, because as Mr. Smith was saying, it is not possible for everybody to travel on the same pace, on the same vector. So there will be some ifs and buts. If energy management, or if you want to see about the climate change, or if you want to see the sentimental, or if I want to go for NLP, so there are different specialities available. And not only your Google or AWS or IBM, but the research people, those who work behind that to develop the models, are more whoever puts that particular model in which particular domain in that particular cloud makes more sense to bring business also. So we keep switching this to get our both better reliability and results. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Hariharan. And now that we have got the first three dots, we've got the first three dots connected. It's important for us to understand now, moving forward, how will a cloud be perceived? What are the trends and what are the developments that cloud technology can provide to understand the importance of the same for the business? Mr. Satyam, can you share your views on this, please?
Yeah, so Nana, actually, already the cloud has transformed. The cloud technologies and offerings have transformed really significantly in last decade. And before that, it was most of the solutions were on-prem, and companies were very reluctant towards going to the cloud. But now more and more businesses are moving towards the cloud, and that is actually giving a lot of motivation to these cloud companies with coming up with a lot of new innovative things, right? And so for meeting the future demands. And that's where I'm seeing a lot of different significant develop, because we are a company which actually implements and do the engineering behind the digital transformation, right? We build all the kind of application, analytics, and everything, and we keep interacting with all the different kind of cloud vendors as well. And we keep seeing that every day something new or other is coming up. It's coming up from some open source forums as well. It is coming from the different companies as well for the different thing. And where I am seeing the future trend will be going to is, I think what has happened is major players like Google, Microsoft, IBM, and Amazon, right? These are the major players. And what is going to happen in the future is not only from infrastructure as a service point of view, but most of these platforms will try to align towards some kind of business goals as well. So let's say, for example, I'm seeing some cloud companies like Amazon is working towards a lot towards Industry 4.0, and they are building a partnership with Volkswagen to come up with an industrial cloud. So that is running on infrastructure on Amazon, but they are providing an industrial cloud. Similarly, Google is also working with some kind of a dedicated domains where the Google technologies will have an edge. Similarly, IBM is working towards building some cloud infrastructure which is more suitable for banking sector. And when we say that, okay, end of the day, it's all infrastructure, end of the day. But what happens is, when we move towards any domain, right? Some domains, the security protocols are different. than coming to any other domain, right? Some domains you have, let's say your data latency can be uh, managed, can have more data latency compared to less data latency. So different domains, from e-commerce to fintech to IoT to manufacturing, there are so many different kind of small parameters which change in terms of the dependency on the cloud. And that's where I think the future trend will be in towards more aligning towards some kind of business, and each vendor will try to become an expert of that kind of domain. So that's what I think is the future will happen, and that will be mostly driven to AI and ML technologies, particularly having a lot of data and the models which are proven and running well, right? So let's say we see in voice assistant, right? It's mostly Google and Amazon which is leading, though Apple also has and Microsoft also has, but they are leading in that front. But in some other technology, there is someone else who is leading. I think in future that's what is going to happen, and that's where the hybrid cloud models will become much more effective for end users and customers.
Wow. So I've been noting down a couple of kind of trends that you're saying, but it would be interesting for Mr. Sumit and Mr. Hariharan also to share, because these trends become a very critical part of the next three questions that are in the pipeline. So Sumit, can you share your views as well, please?
Yeah, so I think Satyam brought out a harsh reality of this world, that everybody cannot be good at everything. And I think in the world of cloud analytics, I'm focusing on analytics, not on the data center and all that. I think, see, in analytics, the real juice comes from the model. You know, how intelligently you build the model, and to build the model, how much you understand the domain in depth. So, due to historical reasons, say when Tesla has tied up with a particular cloud provider, obviously that guy will have the best model on electrical vehicle. If you are jointly developing, electrical automobile related analytics, who else than Tesla? So out of this 4, 5, 6 top players, and I'm not named who has tied up with Tesla, you can always Google search and find out. So the provider who goes with Tesla will become, build the best models in automotive industry and electrical vehicle industry. Similarly, as Satyam said, that some people have been traditionally aligned to the banking and fintech industry. So those guys will be the preferred, service provider in future also, because the beauty of AI and ML is, it's like networking effect. If you have n number of nodes, the benefit is 2 to the power n. It is not just n into n, but 2 to the power n. So the more customers you get in a particular domain, and more their tremendous amount of data adds to your model, the more your model learns the pattern better and becomes better and better and better. So I completely agree with him that over a period of time, that time has not yet emerged, in another 2-3 years, the market will itself determine that if I am in X domain, then Y is the best service provider to jump for it. So intelligent people should watch out this matrix, that who is becoming the best modeler in which industry. And Gartner and others will give the clue anyway.
Well, yes, being a subject matter expert helps today. But at the same time, we also have other views being shared that, it's better to be a jack of all trades. So this predicament will always be there for business guys, And Mr. Hariharan, what is your point of view, sir?
Okay, so we see this into two parts. One is hardware, that is your data center. One is the knowledge. It is in any form, subject matter specialization, model, data, how to build a model, whatever. But there is a third view for my side is starting from Hadoop. I really, why it has got suppressed, I don't know, but through blockchain and these Bitcoins. That's going to be the threat for every cloud industry. And you all have to be very careful on that, because even I have spinned up a lot of GPUs and to see how much I can mine it out. So that is going to be one of the things which we have to see, because we all investing in trillions. So we should know on that aspect also, because always the customers are going to move towards whatever it is to be very easy to use for that particular instant. Maybe Daimler, maybe a company will not take a decision very hard. But a companies like us, those who are having 30,000 footprint of customers, may not be so stable. So that is my one point of view. So that's it.
Well, thanks, Hariharan. That's also a very important aspect when we look at the trends. The next question, now that we know that the trends, and now that we know that it's important to be a subject matter expert, and the need of the hour would be more to kind of customize it for the respective domains, but at the same time also make sure that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. The next obvious question would be, what could be a couple of things that need to be kept in mind when you chart out your strategy, to employ a cloud-enabled business model for sustained growth? Just 3 points. I mean, I know that strategy is a very strong word, but generally, if you all of you out here are business, I would say decision makers. So if it was to you, what would be, and this question is for all my 3 panelists, what would be the 3 things that you would ensure that it is a part of your strategy when you create your cloud-enabled business model for sustainable growth? 3 things. Well, Satyam, would you want to go, or Hariharan, or Sumit? Anyone can take a stab.
Yeah. So I think so. I have interacted with a lot of customers also, and I have been working very closely with like all the customers, core engineering as well as their executive teams to take decisions, right? And I will bring a voice from their side that how they see this and what are their key things which makes them to take this decision, right? So I think the first thing is the cost. Everyone is very worried about what's the cost. What will be the total cost of ownership if I move everything to the cloud, and what is the kind of ROI I'm looking at? So that is the first primary thing. The second thing is based on the business which we are running, right? How important is security to us, and whether this security can be like what kind of security. Like if I am a banking sector, then security protocols are very different than if I am just running, let's say, a manufacturing plant, right? So it's very different security protocols. And the last thing which is really important is that how it will be sustained, right? Who are my partners will be to make it sustained, right? So every company cannot have all the kind of people from electronics to the cloud engineering team, right? And the digital transformation generally requires nowadays all the interdisciplinary fields to act together to complete transition to a cloud-based business model. So from that perspective, how we are going to sustain, and that means you need to have long-term partners who are going to sustain and maintain these kind of offerings for your business. So I think these are the 3 points for which any business owner tries to get an answer to decide how to move towards the cloud model.
Fabulous, Satyam. Sumit, can you share your minds, please?
Yeah. So I would put very clearly 2 parameters for the strategy fix, which is scalability and responsiveness. So I will put the business needs of where I need huge scalability as my first priority for cloud migration. So if a business need does not need too much of scalability, for example, if I am not too much bothered about my increase in customers, okay, I know today I have 300 customers. At the most, I have 350 next year and 400 next year. I will not put my customer-facing problems on the cloud. I don't care. I can just buy a server and do it in the office. But my business is such that, for me, sourcing is very important. And my, sourcing of material today with all this COVID, China, Europe, Brexit, for some people, sourcing is a key. And in which case I can, move my vendors, number of vendors, source of vendors widely from X to Y to Z. In which case that will be my priority where I want to migrate my entire sourcing process onto cloud. So solutions that need huge scalability is first priority to move to cloud. Second is speed of response. So there are certain business problems where, a delay in response can kill that business. To just give a live example of today, RT-PCR testing. Look at the situation. So airlines have said you need a RT-PCR negative certificate but the test should not happen 72 hours before the. So you understand? Now these labs, especially in Bombay, are flooded, and they're saying we need 5 days to give you a test result. Look at the contradiction. So how will they scale up to meet this contradictory requirement between the regulator, the airlines, and the customer? So cloud is the only way out for them for this kind of situation.
Couldn't agree more with you, Sumit. I mean, you summarized it quite well. Mr. Hariharan, your 3 points of wisdom.
I'll stand in security because we deal with multiple customers and we keep multiple customers' data. So response is yes, that is very important. And the security point, it is becoming more and more difficult to convince each customer when they come on board on our cloud. So we need to sign a lot of NDAs and a lot of security risk assessment documents of them. I don't know how many I've signed. So that is becoming the most crucial. And than my developers, we have more security audit guys in our team, even after we are hosted on a very reputed cloud. So this is what is one of the main things. Second thing is, of course, responsiveness. If the response is not there, it will vanish the business. That is very true. And as Satyam said, discussing with more customers can bring more insights of what sort of risk is going to be the person like company like us itself to stay in this business. So this is also becoming. So I've seen so many people nowadays, and they are in hosting process and things like that, and those companies are not available. And I'm just trying to understand that how they are sustaining also. The sustainability is becoming very challenging because of the big B's itself is taking over a lot of things and stuff like that. So that also is becoming the biggest problem. That people are not ready to become hosting service providers. So that comes, all these three are going to be the biggest things which I feel to run my business.
Agreed, Mr. Hariharan. Now, you know what? We have observed that every time when someone comes for some sort of consultative service, we always say you need to do this and you need to do that, and you need to be prepared for XYZ. But very rarely people say you should not do these particular things. We all know what needs to be done, but very rarely those I would say red button points are never said that do not do these things. So, in your opinion, sirs, what should an organization or a company keep in mind while adopting technology, keeping in mind the practical constraints? Because a one size fits all doesn't help everyone, right? So there could be some practical constraints which they need to keep in mind before adopting any sort of cloud technology. So are there a couple of things that they should not absolutely not do in your view? Well, anyone could take a stab at this. Satyam, Sumit, Mr. Hariharan.
I will definitely say security, data security. Data security, is something that, again, if you just read the print media or TV media, I think almost every month there is a big hack story out there. So while all our service providers make it a point to convince us that security is no big deal, but we read the newspapers, we read the online reports, and we can see that even Pentagon has been hacked. So I think going to cloud, yes, I'm not doubting that in security, encryption, decryption, a lot of technology advancement has happened. But this chore police game is a perennial game. Okay, it's Mahabharata, you will see the chore police game. And today also you will see the chore police game. I don't want to give the particular Supreme Court case going on right at this minute, where a Home Minister is going through this whole debate. But anyhow, what I'm saying is the hackers are also technology buffs. Please understand that. They are one step ahead of us at every moment. So our service provider has to convince us, the customer, very thoroughly that they are one step ahead of the hackers. And mind you, the hackers are professionals. They are not juveniles.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, because, yes, Mr. Hariharan, is that you? Yes, Mr. Hariharan.
So it is very nice to have what not to do, but it is very difficult to educate the entire fraternity, those who are getting into that, which is not to be done. So all the white papers we publish, we go give them training, we give them video sessions. With all these things, Tata Steel is available. Data is available for $1,000. Now, this is the hot news now. Tata Steel is hacked and it is available for $1,000. Okay. So I saw in the darknet. Yeah. So this is all becoming very possible. And the social engineering is the biggest plug which we have to see. Though when we hire technological people and we adopt into technological environment, we can't have people those are ignorant. Social engineering becomes a very biggest, highest threat in the IT security sector. Other than that, cloud and all these things are very robust, if I'm seeing that. So there is a very, 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 very minor or micro level of concern is being given in every industry. Those are getting migrated into cloud or technology. So ignorant people should be educated, improved, or to be thrown out from this ring. And then only the technology can sustain without hacks. So social engineering is the biggest threat. That's my point.
Well, then in that case, we have people like Mr. Rajesh and Mr. Tarun representing companies such as Google and Pluto 7, who basically give you that assurance that if you have your information, then security becomes their paramount responsibility. And that's how they are able to make sure that the data is kind of safe, secure, and can be used whenever you want. So I guess that is one important takeaway that I saw from the presentation made by Rajesh and Tarun. And now what's interesting is that we've got a couple of questions from our audiences. So without further ado, let's go to the audience kind of questions. One question is that what this is for Tarun. What could be the changes and trends in SCM and logistics domain due to cloud computing and analytics? Tarun, can you please share your views on this question?
Sure, Nana. So thanks. So definitely. So as I explained in my presentation as well, that trend is changing day by day, right? So the technologies which was not even think about yesterday, they become like necessity of today. The technologies we are working today, they will become a necessity of tomorrow. So in the same way, like the trend, or I'll say like the shift from a traditional approach to the combining with the AI and ML is key point here. So when we talk about like using AI and ML and working with the centralized data and other aspects of the latest technology, that is the trend is changing towards the like any functional domain, either it's supply chain or logistics or any other. So the company needs to bring all the data at one place. Once the data is in a single place, that have a view on the data, and the view which company will get from this data can give a tremendous benefit to the company. We have seen in a multiple case when we're working with our customers that this data can improve the customer experience, and they can take a better decision and get a lot of benefits out of it.
Wow. Thanks, Tarun.
Naina, if I can just, Sumit here.
Yes, of course.
Specifically on logistics, just 2 points I want to highlight what I have observed, because I use a lot of logistics providers in business, is driver behavior and engine behavior. There are sensors and analytics today available, give real-time feedback on both engine behavior and driver behavior in logistics industry. So engine behavior helps in predicting when a particular vehicle run into trouble, and so guide the vehicle for a proper maintenance or oil change at the right time. Driver behavior actually is helping a lot in identifying the dangerous drivers who are suddenly speeding up, braking and all that. So either they are being coached to drive carefully, or they are being taken out of the roles of large logistics providers if there are habitual erratic drivers. So now that monitoring is possible through telematics and cloud, which was earlier impossible. Just wanted to share this with whoever asked the question.
Absolutely. In fact, Sumit, this is very interesting, because earlier there was no metrics to. It was always assumed the person in the driver's seat is right. So now I guess train the trainer. So your cloud analytics becomes the one who will train the trainer and say, hey, you know what, your judgments may not be right because I have data to kind of prove whether you're right or wrong, which is really nice because a check has to be always there. So that's nice. In fact, Tarun, I think you're in demand today. The next question is also for you. The question is that what is the best use of data analytics or smart analytics in your experience? I think after Tarun, any one of our panelists as well as Rajesh can take this question because it is important to know the point of view. Tarun, can you share your point of view, please?
Yeah, sure, Nana. So, when we talk about the data analytics and smart analytics, and it is not the question what is the best use. The question is where it is not getting used. It's getting used in each and every aspect of our technology and industry. So either you're talking about just a simple the finding the data for a reporting or taking a decision, or you are as I give an example, each and every even a website have a chatbots, and that's need a data analysis. What are the questions the customer is asking, and what the response needs to go by the chatbot. So each and every small or big problem has data analytics involved in it. And data analytics getting simpler day by day as we moving towards the service as a software as a service. So if you look at the example has been taken Gmails or others. Rajesh has taken a very good example the document that when we are writing a document, multiple users can write at the same time. So it is like AI and ML behind each and every applications and tools, and that analytics are helping them to improve their performance. So my takeaway would be that it is not where is the best use. It is where to start with and use everywhere. That's a today's need, I will say.
Rajesh, do you have some views, Rajesh?
Yeah, so things are changing in data analytics. In earlier times, we had what we call the data model, which was the key. And if somebody knew how to create a data model, yes, that's the application or that's the warehouse that everybody wanted. Now, what's happening is because now the applications have started to go beyond one or two to multiple of them, the concept of data model becomes highly expensive in terms of creation because the usage, the requirements are. That's where the concept of AI ML comes in. Where can the machine look at the data and tell us whether this is right or wrong? Okay, and I'll give you a few examples. Let me give you my own example. Okay, I joined Google during this COVID period. So our onboarding was all at home. So how do you onboard and confirm that I am claiming as Rajesh? How does Google confirm I am Rajesh? So what they did is they gave us an application to download on the phone. So we take our selfie. With the same application, we take a picture of the Aadhaar card or PAN card or whatever government documentation. And then in 1 minute, it confirms whether the person that I'm claiming is whom I am. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is around what I call the eKYC, or where you had to do KYC and banks wanted some automated solution. That's where the machine learning model came and said, hey, you can actually just come to a video call. We can actually look up you. We can look up the document. We can confirm you, and then the KYC is done. These are the new ways of looking at information. That's step one. Step two is now when we look at data coming in from multiple things, I have to look for patterns of fraud and error, patterns which are not matching. And this will come when somebody is able to put the right statistical analytics or statistical models on top of it. It's something that is very difficult for individual organizations to do. But companies like Google, who have spent decades and invested billions of dollars to that, we have created APIs, we have created models, AI ML models for specific use cases that can dramatically change the speed and scale at which you can get access to data and the relevance of data to your industry.
Well, Rajesh, you actually proved one thing right. Necessity is the mother of all invention. So I guess COVID has actually taught us how we will need to redefine the ways of communication, collaboration, and ensure that the show goes on, So fabulous example, Rajesh. Thank you so much. And now There's one elephant in the room that we need to address to, and the question may be simple, but it's very profound. And the last question is 90 days realistic to transform a business? Because that is what our theme is. So I would request a view from everyone, but this is addressed to Tarun. But I would request everyone to share their view as well before we conclude. So Tarun, can you share your views, please?
Absolutely, and I can understand the curiosity about this jumpstart and go like transformation in 90 days. But the way we look at it, like it is like a journey. So going to transforming your whole business is a journey, and the journey is like when we start a journey, the most difficult part is the taking the first step, right? Even though we know like what are the benefits, what are the like advantages we are going to get from it, but that it's always get delayed. Like, okay, yeah, we need to start, but from where, how? All those questions comes in the mind. A very simple example is about the exercise, right? Doing the exercise or running. We know how the health benefits we're going to get, but to start to taking the first step and then continuing for a couple of days on that plan what you made for your benefit. That's the difficult part, and there we comes into the picture that showing to the companies and organizations that how they can take a benefit of the latest technologies and in a short span of time, where we will help them to define their use case, their KPIs. We will define their like how to take the data on a cloud platform, what ML model you can use to get the benefit immediately within the 90 days. So we are setting up a path to take the customers on a journey, and this is the first 90 days is like giving a very crust of the whole journey, like how the benefit you get. Once they will get a benefit from one department or from one use case, they know the taste and flavor that how they can use this for other departments.
Okay, Tarun, fair. Can we have views from our other panelists as well as Rajesh? Right. Mr. Hariharan, would you like to take a stab at this?
Maybe I'll go next.
Because this is a question which, because it's quite pertinent. And if you're looking at timeframes, I'm very sure that it becomes quite important for everyone to know. Arun has very clearly said the context that it will take, a gestation period is always there. But if you want to hyper-personalize or customize this specifically for the business, so that your hand fits it.
Somebody says,
Yes, Mr. Hariharan?
Oh, yeah, can I?
yeah, go ahead, then I'll speak.
Okay. So mine is a very simple part.
Yes, Mr. Hariharan. And then I'm probably Rajesh can.
Yeah. So mine is from simple part. Like I'm coming from manufacturing background. So what we are seeing as the problem is some customers take 3 days, some customers take 90 days, some customers take 1 year, some customers even after 5 years they are not there. So they are not in the track. So it's about what you want. If the question is clear, your answer giving people are very precise. Now knowledgeable people are there with us. Tarun is there, Rajesh is there. So many technocrats are there, so can give you a correct answer and solution. But customers are very confused, and not only they are self-confused, they confuse even Mr. Tarun. So I am also getting confused so many times, and they will hold our hands and fingers, and they will keep dropping monies, and they take it to a different vector, and they say, "This is not the one I wanted." So the clarity to make what we means to make stakeholders understand what they want and getting it signed and then going on. I think 90 days is very good timeline. If they are very prepared and they are very, very precise that this is, you do this and do this, which I don't have this knowledge, but I will get this, then it is a matter of even a month. If they don't have clarity, मेरे पास पैसा है, मेरे पास data है, आप कैसा भी करके मेरे को 20% बढ़ा दो, then it is not 90 days. So I think we can run the company with that customer. So that's just my views on 90 days. But 90 days is very decent time to mature a customer to bring if they are really supportive to the technology and knowledge.
Okay, so just to add from my perspective, the biggest challenge in this entire transformation project is around connecting to your existing application and getting the data in. The rest of the part, which is the data, putting in the models, many of them are already done. That work, a lot of people have done that work. So those models are already available. And that's the experience that Pluto 7 is talking about, where we can put the models and speed up stuff. That's part one. Part two is many companies, when they come and ask for digital transformation or transformation, when, I'm sorry about that, there's some noise there, but I'll quickly talk and mute myself. When they come and talk about digital transformation using data, they don't come and ask the right question. Right question in the sense, what are they trying to look from their KPI perspective, or what is the business outcome? Many a times I hear them talking about all the jargons that we want to throw at them around AI, ML, how we should actually do things. That confuses not only the provider, but also the person who is going to help them get to that destination. So what happens is, at the end of the day, when they complete that project, they take them to the business users, or they start evaluating, they say, this is not helping me in my business. So the question that everybody has asked is, what is my KPI that I need to get? Or basically, the simple thing is, ask the right question. If you ask the right question, everything will follow. And 90 days per se is fairly good period for you to start seeing, yes, there is something that is happening.
Okay,
Absolutely. Yeah,
so one more
sorry.
line adding to this is, so sometimes after 30 days, I become a little cane holding master. So I say that customers that, do you want me to help you or do you want me to confuse me? So you stand there, and after this 30 days, I'm not going to take any responsibility of whatever billing I'm doing on you. So be careful. Then that is the time that they just keep quiet and they really work into and come out with some correct questions. And as Mr. Rajesh was telling, getting data from different business models and also from the shop floor is very hectic. So we have worked on that since long time. So we are working with some companies, those who support in SAP and all these things. For them, even we collect data from transformers, from machines, from tractors, from people, from processes. I think those problems are most of the things is resolved. So that area, if anything is there, we can definitely help it out. So, so we have to be somewhere little strict to customer also, so that they can come out with a better question.
Well, lot of interesting views, and I think we've been able to weave a fabulous story, and we've also just exceeded the time just about a little bit, but nonetheless, as long as we get great inputs, we can always extend a little bit, right? So thank you so much, everyone, and I would like to summarize this discussion. So if we look at it chronologically, we've understood that necessity is a mother of all invention. So if there is an invention, there has to be a certain critical elements in your environment that will help you accommodate this invention. Now, if you look at what we have experienced in the past couple of months, or I would say in the last year, we've realized that we have to evolve, and in the process of evolving, we need to sprint. We cannot just kind of crawl our way out, and in order to sprint, we need to have a technology or a very strong IT architecture, especially for our businesses. And there are a couple of pillars. What are those pillars? First is security, then is collaboration, then are costs, then you have other elements like agility, etc., to make sure that your business sprints, but at the same time, it cannot disrupt the existing thing. It has to transform. So what do? Right now, the hero in the room, it tends to be cloud, and cloud basically helps you to facilitate a lot of things. But again, what we were discussing here is how can we use this plethora of data through our cloud technology, and that is when cloud analytics or Google Analytics played a very critical role, and we need to make sure that our analysis of the information which will help derive insights to our leaders to be able to take quick discussions was what we understood. And for that purpose, if we look at a couple of elements that were discussed today, what did we understand? What needs to be done? We need to be able to map our problems correctly. we have to make sure that when we map, we create a matrix, a mapping matrix, where we look at the problem, we understand what is relevant to resolve that problem. We need to make sure that we have an expenditure in mind which is relevant to resolve the problem, and not, as Sumit said, use a cannon to kill a mosquito. So that mapping matrix becomes very, very important. We need to make sure that the flavor of competency is never forgotten, because at the end of the day, we need to use all possible tools and ammunitions used to enhance our competitive advantage. The future trends, as we can see, where businesses are really looking at, is that infrastructure as a service cannot really be the business goal. What needs to be, you need to make sure that you understand that it has to be relevant for your business. Moving forward, industrial cloud seems to be more like the trend. But what is important is, if we cannot compartmentalize everything, but at the same time, on the flip side, what we are observing is that domain-specific expertise is required. We are absolutely clear that AI and ML are going to influence a lot of the activities in the backend to make sure that we get insightful inputs or insights for our businesses. A hybrid model is what will always work, because it brings multiple elements which will fit in like a jigsaw to make sure that you get your outputs that you want. When you look at your strategy, if you want to create a cloud strategy, what is it that you would require? So obviously you will have to look at the security. You will have to make sure that you have a sustainable model. You will have to make sure that anything that you create is scalable easily without much of a issue. We will need to make sure that the responsiveness element in any business is extremely important, because customer is at the center. So responsiveness is not only for your external customers, it's also for your internal customers, that's your employees, which is where cloud plays a very critical role in bringing everything together. And needless to say, if you are interested in responding, you will need to have a good analytical, I should say, a system in the back end. And last but not the least, if you look at what we just discussed, is 90 days enough? To be honest, it is extremely important to have a gestation period, which is where you need to understand the customer, their needs, map their needs to their requirement, but at the same time also you will need a little bit of time to include all their data into the existing system to be able to give them insight. So I think in all, if you see, we have woven this entire discussion pretty well, and we've also proved that accelerating a business transformation journey using Google Analytics, or for that matter, any analytical tool, it is important that we need to have that time, and Google Analytics can do that in 90 days. So I guess in a nutshell, we've kind of achieved. Thank you so much, for your time. It was very interesting to know about the ground level realities. Thank you, Sumit, Hariharan, and Satyam, for sharing your time. Thank you, Tarun and Rajesh, for pitching in and answering the questions as well. I had a fabulous time. I hope you had a fabulous time too. With that, I would like to sum up the panel discussion. Thank you so much, and over to you, Karthik.
Yes, thank you so much, Naina, for summarizing the entire panel discussion and duly helping in answering the relevant questions raised by our attendees today. Truly valuable takeaways from this session. With this, we bring today's virtual conference to an end. To book a free 2-hour workshop with Pluto 7 team, please refer to the displayed coordinates on your screen. Today's session wouldn't have been a success without the active participation of all our esteemed speakers, panelists, and delegates. I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out and being a part of this virtual conference today. A special thanks to Google Cloud and Pluto 7 for their support to this initiative, without whom this conference wouldn't have been possible. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.